A wealthy single father encountered a homeless woman digging through garbage on Christmas Eve, and she transformed his existence forever. "Papa, I'm hungry," Lily complained from the back seat, her mittened hands smearing mist across the car window. "You said there'd be sweets." James Harper glanced at the dashboard clock. Christmas Eve. The streets sparkled with soft lights and crimson ribbons. Couples laughed, and families hurried home with bags of gifts and boxes of pastries. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "I know, darling. Let's stop and get something." He pulled the sleek silver SUV to the curb near a quaint patisserie, winter hearth, a cozy spot that looked like it belonged in a snow globe. Warm light spilled onto the sidewalk. Inside, a few lingering patrons smiled over steaming mugs. As he reached for his coat, Lily spoke again. "Papa, who's that lady?" James paused. Beyond the patisserie's dumpster stood a young woman in a tattered jacket too thin for winter. She was hunched, carefully sifting through the trash. Her long auburn hair was matted under a knit cap, and her gloveless hands trembled in the cold. "Papa, is she looking for food?" James's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He hesitated, then stepped out. The wind bit sharply, snow crunching under his boots as he approached cautiously. "Excuse me," he called. "What are you doing back here?" The woman turned. Her face was youthful, perhaps early 20s, pale and sharp-featured, but soft around the eyes. She looked weary, not defeated. In her arms, she clutched a worn, battered notebook, its edges frayed, its spine nearly split. "I'm not stealing," she said quietly. "I'm not looking for trouble, just trying to eat." Her voice was steady, almost rehearsed, like someone used to defending herself. James noticed the notebook again. It wasn't a purse or wallet. It looked like a collection of recipes. She caught his stare. "It's just a cookbook," she muttered. "Old. Mine." He stood silent, unsure of what to do next. A car door slammed. Lily ran toward them, boots crunching in the snow. "Papa, it's cold. Are we getting sweets?" James stepped protectively toward her, but Lily wasn't afraid. She looked up at the woman and tilted her head. "Are you hungry?" The woman blinked. Lily turned to James. "Can she eat with us?" James opened his mouth, then closed it, caught off guard. He was a man who planned everything: meals, meetings, emotions. But his tiny, trusting daughter had already extended her mittened hand. The woman, Sarah, though he didn't know her name yet, looked at Lily with disbelief in her eyes. A soft breath escaped her, turning to fog in the icy air. James glanced between them. Lily, Sarah, a Christmas Eve he'd planned to spend in quiet numbness. Then he heard himself say, "Come on, let's get you warm." Sarah hesitated, then nodded, tucking the notebook carefully into her coat as if it were sacred. Back in the car, Lily scooted over, offering Sarah her fuzzy blanket without a word. Sarah gave a small, hesitant smile and whispered, "Thank you." James sat behind the wheel, the heater's warmth thawing the tension in the car. He glanced in the rearview mirror. Sarah's eyes were closed, her fingers tracing the notebook's edge like a prayer. Lily leaned against her, humming off-key. He didn't know who she was, but tonight, for some reason he couldn't explain, it didn't matter. The iron gate swung open as James's car pulled into the long, curved driveway. Snow fell gently, dusting the manicured hedges and stone steps. Sarah stared out the window, her breath fogging the glass. The house, no, mansion, looked like something from a fairy tale, with tall windows glowing golden and grand arches whispering wealth and security. Lily hopped out first, skipping up the steps. "Come on," she called to Sarah, grinning widely. "We'll make sweets." Sarah hesitated before stepping out, her worn shoes crunching in the snow. She clutched her threadbare coat tighter, the notebook hidden inside. Inside, warmth enveloped her like a wave. Polished hardwood floors gleamed, and the ceiling soared above. Framed photos lined the walls. James with a kind-looking woman, Lily as a baby giggling with cake on her face. James hung up his coat and turned to her. "Kitchen's this way. Eat." Rest, whatever you need. Sarah nodded quietly, still unsure why she was there. The kitchen was vast, shiny appliances, granite counters, a rack of untouched pots. James opened a fridge, revealing organic produce, sauces, and holiday platters. Sarah blinked at the abundance. He gestured, "Make whatever you'd like." Her eyes scanned the ingredients, and her hands moved instinctively. She pulled out potatoes, rosemary, butter, and leftover turkey. With quiet confidence, she began working, moving deliberately like someone who knew kitchens intimately. James leaned against the doorway, watching. She chopped onions precisely, stirred broth until it shimmered golden. The aroma filled the room, comforting and familiar. When she served the soup, Lily, already seated, kicked her legs excitedly. One spoonful and she grinned. "Yummy." James took a bite and froze. His late wife had made this exact soup, potato rosemary with turkey. The balance, the warmth, it was identical. His throat tightened. "You've made this before," he said slowly. Sarah's eyes flicked up, then away. "A long time ago," she replied. Life was different then. He waited for more, but she offered none. Instead, Lily climbed into Sarah's lap, murmuring sleepily, "You're like a snow fairy." Sarah laughed softly, a genuine sound that seemed to surprise her. James watched, unsettled yet calmed by the way Lily looked at her like she was magic. After dinner, Lily fell asleep in the living room, curled in blankets with storybooks. Sarah wandered to the large front window, where snow fell heavily, blurring the world outside. She sat on the window bench, opened her tattered notebook, and traced a handwritten line with a look of longing and grief. James passed by and saw her, silent, cradling the book like something fragile. He didn't disturb her, but knew this woman was more than she appeared. There was history in her hands and a storm behind her eyes. By morning, the snow had turned the yard into a white canvas. James found Sarah awake in the kitchen, barefoot, sleeves rolled up, hair in a messy bun. She moved quietly, as if the space wasn't quite hers, but she was learning its rhythm. The skillet sizzled, coffee brewed, and warmth filled the house like a slow dawn. Lily patted in, rubbing her eyes. Sarah turned with a gentle smile. "Morning, little chef. Pancakes okay." Lily's face lit up. "With strawberries?" Sarah saluted, coming right up. James watched from the doorway, arms crossed. It wasn't dramatic, just alive. Lily laughed, syrup dripping down her chin, Sarah humming softly. It felt like home. Over breakfast, Lily chattered endlessly, and Sarah listened patiently, asking questions like she'd known her for years. Between bites, Sarah said quietly, "Food's more than food. It's memory you taste. It holds people together, even when they're gone." James looked up from his coffee, catching the shadow in her eyes. She didn't elaborate, and he didn't press. After breakfast, Lily ran off, leaving sticky fingerprints. Sarah cleared the table, and a tattered stuffed rabbit fell from her coat pocket, its seam split. "Found it on the stairs last night," she said, picking it up. "It's seen better days." She retrieved a sewing kit from a drawer James didn't know existed and mended the rabbit with careful stitches. James stood frozen. His wife used to mend Lily's toys with the same tenderness. The memory hit him softly. When Sarah finished, she patted the rabbit gently. James turned away, needing a distraction. He noticed her notebook on a side table, its cover torn, pages curled. He picked it up. Recipes were written in neat cursive, some scribbled with notes or crossed out ingredients. One page had a heart beside a soup recipe, another stained with tea. At the back, in faded ink, were the words, "Cook with love, even if no one eats it." Something tightened in his chest. This wasn't just a notebook, it was a lifeline. That evening, Sarah and Lily built a pillow fort, their laughter echoing. Sarah wore one of his late wife's sweaters, which Lily insisted she borrow. It hung loosely, sleeves rolled up. She didn't fully fit in the house yet, but her presence warmed it. James felt something dangerous stirring, something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. He poured a drink, staring at the snow, telling himself this was temporary, a kindness born of a child's question and a stranger's need. Yet when Sarah laughed, brushing hair behind her ear, his heart moved before his logic could argue. On the fourth night, Sarah hadn't left. She folded Lily's laundry unasked, added spices to a roast like an artist. The silence between them softened. As she stirred a pot of vegetable bisque, James leaned against the counter. "You don't belong on the streets. Why were you there?" Sarah paused, the ladle still, then kept stirring. After a moment, she set it down, taking a deep breath. "I lost everything," she said quietly. "I was a sous chef à la Belle, that place with the endless wait list. Youngest on the line at 21. I had ideas, unique flavor combinations. Some dishes got noticed, even magazine feature. I was proud." James waited. "There was a man," she continued, "a co-worker, charming older. He stole my recipe, entered it in a national contest. I called him out, told the head chef, but he had connections. I was accused of plagiarism, fired, blacklisted. The press destroyed me. Young chef exposed. My family said I shamed them, cut me off." Her voice wavered. "I couch surfed, then nothing. It's easy to vanish when no one wants you." James didn't speak. He knew dismissal. His first startup mocked, his car sold to make payroll, doors slammed before one opened. Sarah turned back to the stove. "I'm not saying this for pity." "I know," he said softly. That night, he sat alone with her notebook, finding a torn page titled Mama's Harvest Pie, a heart sketched in the margin. He stared at it for hours. Next morning, Sarah found the notebook on the counter, the torn page meticulously restored, ink darkened, a protective sleeve around it. Her hand flew to her mouth. "That was my mother's last recipe," she whispered. "She died soon after. I thought I'd lost it." James stood by the window, mug in hand. "I know someone," he said simply. Sarah touched the page, trembling. "Some memories deserve a second chance," he added. Her eyes shimmered. Something shifted in her. She'd been invisible, unwanted, but this stranger saw her worth, believed she mattered. It made her believe it too. The new year began with a flashbulb. Sarah stepped outside for air, snow in her hair, Lily clinging to her in a blue coat. James watched from the doorway, smiling softly. A camera clicked, then footsteps fled. By morning, it was everywhere. Tycoon and homeless lover, charity or romance. The tabloid showed Sarah in the snow, Lily at her side, James cropped out. Headlines spun tales of a gold digger. Comments stung. "She's using the kid to get his money." Sarah stared at the screen in James's office, pale. "I need to see it," she whispered, "to remember why I don't belong here." "You do belong," James said firmly. She stepped back. "This is your world. Wealth, reputation. You can't afford a scandal." "I don't care." "You should." She packed her coat, shoes, notebook, moving like someone used to loss. Lily ran in, clutching her mended rabbit. "Where are you going?" Sarah knelt, hugging her. "You're the best thing in a long time," she whispered. To James, she said, "Thank you, but this is where I stop." He tried to speak, but she was gone, her footsteps fading in the snow. James ran after her, barefoot, but she vanished into the silence. The house grew cold without Sarah's presence. Lily refused to eat, her spoon clinking against untouched bowls. "Where is she?" she asked. James tried. "She had to go, sweetheart." Lily's eyes welled. "Why didn't she love us?" He had no answer. That night, after Lily cried herself to sleep clutching her rabbit, James stood in the kitchen, staring at the fridge. He opened Sarah's notebook, her handwriting like a melody. Notes read, "Try orange zest," or "Lily loves this." He found a potato rosemary soup recipe, Lily's magic soup. He peeled potatoes clumsily, spilled broth, burned the rosemary, but kept going, imagining Sarah's movements. The soup was lumpy, too salty, but the kitchen smelled like home. Lily took a spoonful and smiled. "It tastes like love." James's chest cracked open. Sarah hadn't just saved Lily. She'd saved him from grief's long winter, from numbing routines. She'd left, but her warmth lingered in every recipe, in Lily's hope. He searched shelters, food banks, drove through the city, desperate not to let her vanish again. A year later, at James's annual Christmas charity gala at the city's historic Starlight Hall, he scanned the crowd, hoping. The event was for the homeless, but he'd poured his heart into it for her. Then he saw her, half in shadow, auburn hair in a braid, her old coat wrapped tight. His breath caught. "Sarah." She met his eyes, hesitated, then turned to leave. He moved through the crowd, calling her name. She stopped but didn't turn. He reached her, wrapping her in his arms. She stiffened, then softened, whispering, "I shouldn't have come." "You had to," he said, pulling out a hardbound book, Recipes from the Margins by Sarah Lane. Her hands trembled as she took it, her restored notebook now published, her name in silver foil. "Your recipes, your stories," James said. "I just helped print them." Tears welled as she read the dedication. "To those forgotten, still cooking, still surviving. You saved Lily and me," he said, cupping her face. "Come back home." She shook her head. "People talk. I don't fit. I'll build a world where you do." Lily still talks about her snow fairy. Sarah laughed through tears. The snow outside glowed silver, and she felt safe, valued, loved. The garden behind James's house bloomed with life. Lanterns hung from bare trees, casting golden light over chairs dusted with snow. Laughter and the scent of spiced pears filled the air. Sarah stood in a simple cream dress, a sprig of thyme in her hair. Lily held her hand, beaming, a basket of petals on her arm. "It's time." Lily skipped down the aisle, tossing petals, giggling, "Mama's getting married." James waited under an ivy-wrapped arch, his tie crooked from Lily's attempt. Their vows were simple, written over quiet evenings. When the officiant said, "Kiss the bride," Lily clapped wildly. "We're a real family." The reception had no grandeur, just tables in the snowy yard, hot food, and shared stories. Sarah moved through the crowd, hugging shelter friends, greeting young cooks she mentored. She and James had opened the Hearth, a community kitchen near where she'd once scavenged, offering free meals and evening cooking classes for kids, teaching them patience, creativity, and worth. A year after that Christmas Eve, their home pulsed with life, laughter, music, hope. Later, as Lily slept in Sarah's lap, James cleared plates, pausing to watch them. Above the fireplace, the final page of Sarah's notebook hung framed, her mother's recipe with a plaque below. "From hunger, love can grow." Sarah kissed Lily's forehead, whispering, "Merry Christmas, sweetheart." Lily mumbled, "Best Christmas ever." James, watching, knew this wasn't just a second chance. It was the start of everything. If this story touched your heart, reminding you of second chances and beauty in broken places, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartfelt Tales. Each week, we share stories that heal, inspire, and show that even in the darkest winters, love, hope, and family can bloom anew. Keep your hearts open.